All right, well, the Bucks weren't the only teams making moves yesterday. We're going to get back to this in a second. Hang on, Broussard. Phoenix agreeing to a deal with OKC to get Chris Paul. The Suns, member, the darlings of the bubble, going 8-0. They now add a veteran star alongside their young core of Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton. Broussard, what's the ceiling for the Suns after they add CP3?
The ceiling would be a 5th seed because they're not going to be better than the Lakers, the Clippers, the Warriors, or the Nuggets. There's no way they'll be better than those 4 teams. So 5th seed is an absolute ceiling. But here's the thing. There's no guarantee they're going to make the playoffs. I like them a lot. I think they have a good chance to make the playoffs. But Dallas is in if they stay healthy. Utah is in. That's, what, 6 teams right there. And so they're going to battle with Portland and New Orleans and San Antonio and these other teams out west. It's tough, not to mention Memphis. But I like the move for them. Chris Paul brings winning pedigree, winning mentality, and he will help Devin Booker become a superstar or grow toward that, and DeAndre Ayton become an all-star caliber player without stepping on their toes. That's the thing. A lot of superstars would go in there have the ball all the time, and take away from Booker and Ayton. Chris Paul won't do that.
So this is, first of all, I think Presti did CP3 a solid because I think they could have gotten more for Chris Paul than what the Suns gave up, at least slightly more. I think Chris Paul, though, didn't mind going to Phoenix, liked the idea of it, and so we put him there, and the Thunder got a decent return for him. But prior to this move, I think the Suns were vastly overrated by the general public because of the 8-0 stretch in the bubble. Prior to this move, they were not a playoff team. Not in the West. The West only has right now one great team, but it has a bunch of very good teams, and the Suns weren't going to find their way through there. Now I do believe they're a playoff team, first of all. Second of all, the development of their 2 young pieces is the reason you make this move, Brandon. Everyone's going to focus on Booker, and I get it. Booker's a great scorer who needs to learn how to win. But the other piece is Ayton. The Phoenix Suns drafted DeAndre Ayton instead of Trae Young. The Phoenix Suns drafted DeAndre Ayton instead of Luka Doncic. That's obviously going to be a mistake, but you want to minimize how much of a mistake that is by turning him into one of the best centers in the league, where all of a sudden big men matter, with Anthony Davis, with Jokic, with Embiid if the Sixers get it together. And you could not pair him with a better floor general than Chris Paul. So for the future of the Suns, I like the move. And for the present, the Suns making the playoffs for the first time in damn near a generation, I think it would be great for them, Brandon.
A generation.
I mean, they'll make the playoffs in the first time in 10 years, like you just said, Nick. But why does this make sense for Chris Paul? With everything you and Chris just said, why does this make sense for a 35-year-old dude? Like, why? Like, this dude is coming in, and he'll make this a more attractive destination for free agency. This is, to me, is like a bridge for the Phoenix Suns. Great for the Phoenix Suns. Awesome. But for Chris Paul's Wilds, it makes no sense for me because this dude knows he's not going to come in and win a championship. So I don't get this move for Chris Paul, but I definitely understand it for the Suns.
I think it's a great question. That's what I was trying to wrestle with, is I wanted Chris Paul to get a ring. I want him to go to Milwaukee and get a ring and have it be like the final cherry on top of his career Sunday. Then I thought about it. I was like, you know what? Chris Paul's legacy is going to be like an investor in Shark Tank, like Mr. Wonderful. He invests time and makes you relevant. New Orleans was 18-64. They draft Chris Paul, they go to the playoffs. The Clippers was the worst franchise in not just basketball, but they're in the running for the worst franchise in all sports. Chris Paul comes, boom, Lob City, we're back to being relevant. He goes to the Rockets, that one's a kind of a weird one. That doesn't fit with my, strategy here. Then he goes to the Thunder, like, we're tanking. It's not, we're not doing anything. Like, nope, they're good. They get up into the playoffs, they make some real noise. Now, Broussard, I would say that the ceiling for the Suns is to win a championship. It's obviously not next year, but if they ever have like uber success, I think they'll be able to point the finger at Chris Paul and say, you know what? It started here. This was what really took us to the next level.
While that's cute.
I told Broussard this off the air yesterday, and good to see you, Chris, that what I was hearing is that Milwaukee and the league believes that Giannis is going to sign the Supermax when offered. And to me, this move is just further confirmation of it. Because they gave up, pick-wise, what the Lakers gave up for Anthony Davis. They gave up 3 firsts and 2 swaps for Drew Holiday. There is no chance you do that, Broussard, unless you are fully confident that Giannis is going to stay there. Because if Giannis were to leave, then those picks become super valuable. So I didn't want to go on television yesterday and say that I was hearing Giannis is going to sign the Supermax, but I'll do it today because now there's further confirmation. Giannis, I believe, and I've been told the league believes, is not only strongly leaning towards, but is all but decided to sign that Supermax in Milwaukee. I think the Bucks know that, Chris, which is why they were okay laying out this type of future risk to sign Holiday, who, by the way, is on an expiring contract. Where if Giannis were to leave, Holiday could also leave, and the Bucks would be totally ruined. So I think Giannis is staying, and whether it's enough or not for them to win a title, we can discuss. But Broussard, I'm hearing he's staying, and I believe he's staying.
No, I hear you. With these moves, it certainly makes sense. And Giannis has always said that he wants to stay in Milwaukee, that he loves it there. Here's what I say. If he really wants to be there and he's happy, then by all means sign, and I will applaud you for doing what makes you happy. But if there is an inkling of doubt in his mind, if there is a thought of, maybe this doesn't work out and I need to go somewhere where I can win a championship, then don't sign. This is not about, don't worry about will it be a distraction for this entire season. It won't. LeBron James played twice on the last year of a contract, Cleveland and Miami, without it being a distraction. Kawhi Leonard played in Toronto without it being a distraction on the last year of a deal, and by the way, won a championship. Kyrie Irving did it in Boston, and that wasn't the main distraction. If you come out and your team plays well, and you play and you show, Kyrie was a distraction for other reasons, not because it was the last year of his deal. But if Giannis comes out and plays like his heart is all in this season, winning a championship, even though he's in the last year of his deal, it won't be a distraction. And by the way, first practice of the regular season, you say, look, I'm not talking about this. I am trying to win a championship. I love it here in Milwaukee. I love the moves we made. I am all in. And then shut it down and it's over.
But Broussard, can they win a title this year? I mean, is this a title team with the reported additions of Holiday and Bogdanović? Is it enough to go all the way?
They improved, there's no question. They can win a championship, but this is not the type of major blockbuster move that makes you go, oh, they're the definite favorites. No, look, I like what both guys add. Drew is arguably the best defensive guard in the league. Bogdanović can shoot it, can go off the dribble. He's tough. Here's a question mark. Mike Budenholzer. And I like Bud as a coach. I've voted for him as coach of the year before. However, he's been the #1 seed 3 times and yet never been to the finals. Atlanta 60 wins, swept by LeBron in Cleveland. We get that. But Milwaukee, you lose to Toronto 4 straight games in the playoffs. And then last year was a flat-out embarrassment against the 5th-seeded Miami Heat. So let's see what Bud is made of come playoff time. But they got a chance. They can win it all. But I am not picking. You can't pick them just based on this move.
Yeah. I mean, no, they cannot win a championship. I mean, adding second-tier players and thinking that you're going to get it done is not going to happen. And it's because of Giannis, not because of Drew Holiday. Drew is he's a really good player, as we all know, respected in the league. This dude can shut down any type of guard. He's great at adjusting and being able to adapt to any situation, any team he's on. So for that reason, yes, they got better. But at the end of the day, this is about Giannis. Giannis, you know, in today's NBA, you got to be able to shoot. He can't shoot. He can't create once his first option is taken away from him. If he can develop, then we can have this conversation. So this is less about who they're adding and more about the development of Giannis for me, because this guy, he's a beast, but he doesn't have the type of game that can literally win a championship. And that's what you see when you look at the last couple years from LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant. Like, those guys are just different.
So, Brandon, I'm going to disagree. I think this is the perfect move for them. Because when you could shut down Giannis, we looked around in the bubble and it's like, I don't know. It's really Chris Middleton. And then you start to get a little bit sparse. You're like, all right, Dante, Villanova time for you, buddy. Okay, George Hill, turn back the clock, time for you. Let's see something. And it just never happened. To me, Broussard, this is the opposite of like the Harden to Brooklyn move. This isn't like coming in and putting a huge piece. This is just coming in and putting like nice complementary pieces. And Nick, I'll throw it to you. You know that I love the point differential that the Bucks had all this year. If Budenholzer decides to sort of like pump up Giannis's minutes, which I know you have been preaching, give Giannis some more minutes, start to prepare them for the playoffs. I think they're very dangerous.
So I agree with you, Wilds, Brandon, but I think Brandon had it exactly right, but I disagree with the conclusion. I think Brandon was 100% correct that this is about Giannis, but the conclusion that because it's about Giannis, they can't win the title, I disagree with entirely. And here's what I mean. Giannis is 25 years old. He is not, it's unbelievable. It's true. Look it up. He's not done improving. He is going to get better. The key for Milwaukee, though, is not the addition of Drew Holiday and Bogdanovich, even though I like those and it makes them better. The key is to remove the sentence Wilds uttered. When Giannis gets shut down, who else can make shots? Do you know what the best players on championship teams do? They never get shut down. LeBron hadn't been shut down in a playoff series in a decade. Durant does not get shut down in playoff series, right?
That's fair.
Like, the best guys in the league don't get shut down in playoff series. That's the key for Giannis. Giannis has to evolve. He must improve. He must learn some type of mid-range threat. That's the key to Milwaukee. And so I agree with Brandon that as presently constituted, if Giannis is the same player, it doesn't matter adding Drew Holiday and Bogdanovich. But I think if Giannis can evolve, Brandon, which I think at 25 years old we should expect him to evolve, then Milwaukee absolutely has the pieces around him to win a championship.